a lot of people may not realize this, but Jamie was very good friends with Dan Wheldon, his family. He was one of the guys that I think you really got to know first when you started covering racing. You're there at the scene. You're covering this. You're at the hospital. That had to have been really hard for you.
It was definitely the hardest day for me in my career, especially on the job. And, you know, I cover racing, and all of us who cover motorsports, you're so close to these drivers because we're with them week in and week out. We have access to them before they get in the race car, when they get out of the race car, when they've had an accident, we're right there with the microphone. And when I started covering the IndyCar series back in 2004, Dan Wheldon was the first guy that I could actually call a friend on and off the track. He just had this infectious personality, always smiling and always teasing me. He did things to me when I was on the air. He'd dump ice down my back, and he'd jump in the middle of an interview. I mean, he just loved to have fun. He loved his job. And on top of that, he was a tremendous talent, a tremendous champion. And above all, I want people to know what a great person he really was.
Well, we have a photo on screen right now of Dan with one of his children. What happened at the hospital? You were at the hospital. You know his family, and I understand his wife and his kids, almost his whole family was there. What was going on?
Yes, well, when everything happened, I actually had to go to the infield care center because there were so many drivers involved. You go there, and that's what we do. That's protocol after a normal accident. You go there, you get the stories, you talk to drivers who've been checked and released. Well, you can tell that the vibe was a little different. It was a little more intense. There were drivers going in and out, and it started getting more serious, and we knew that it was Dan Wheldon at that time. And I remember seeing his wife, Susie, come into the care center when they had brought Dan in there before they put him on the helicopter. And I saw her get consoled by the chaplain for the Indy Racing League. And I saw her reaction, and then everything kind of changed. And a car showed up, and she jumped in the car. And Dan's sister was in the car, his 3 brothers were there, and the children as well. So I went on, I met them at the hospital. I didn't see his wife, she was in there with Dan, but I did see some of the other family members, and his parents weren't there. They're back home in England. So fortunate, he did have a lot of family in town in Las Vegas for this.